Good afternoon. My name is Paul Clinton, and I'll be your instructor for the camp. I am a bit under the weather right now, so unfortunately, I won't be there today. Hopefully, I'll be there tomorrow, but I want to get you guys started off on designing your graphics for your cornhole sets. So we're going to use a software called CorelDRAW, and we're going to be able to lay out what you want to put on your cornhole sets. What kind of graphics. You can put multiple graphics on there. You can put one, but we want to keep it kind of simple so that we can get them printed and cut out in the next couple days before you move on to the construction side of things. So on your computers, we're going to open up the software called CorelDRAW. My computer might be a little bit different than yours. This is the icon right here, or you can go into your search bar and type Corel. And this is what you're going to be looking for. Yours will probably be CorelDRAW 2019, which is fine. So we're going to open up Corel. And we're going to start with a new document. So we're going to go up in the corner right under the word File and click New. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to name our file. Now you may have an idea where you want to use different graphics on the two different boards, and that's fine. Or maybe you want the same thing on each board. Either way is fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to name this file. I'm going to call it board 1. And then we want to make sure that it's the same. We're going to lay it out to where it's the size of the cornhole board. And so a cornhole board is 24 inches wide by 48 inches tall. So set your width to 24 and your height to 48, and then click OK. So here's 24 by 48. Okay. Now, we want to think about what do we want to put on this. Okay. So you're going to be able to print and cut the graphic of your choosing. Obviously school appropriate, but we can search for pretty much anything online. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Chrome. I'm going to open up a new tab, and I'm going to search for, let's say, a Broncos logo. Now I'm going to add in the word vector, V-E-C-T-O-R, because vector is a type of graphic that's very clear. The colors are defined. There's not a lot of pixelation or blurriness. So when I do that, it gives me some options, and I'm going to go to images here. And then I'm going to go to tools, because we want really good high quality graphics. So when I click tools, it brings up these filters here. And so I'm going to choose size. I'm going to go large. So this graphic right here looks pretty good. We want to stay away from words. We just want to use graphics, pictures. And so I'm going to click on it to take a look at it. It looks very clear. And so I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to right click on the graphic, copy image, and I'm going to go back to my Corel, and I'm going to right click and choose paste. I'm going to do a couple things here because I'm going to have you learn some things here in a little bit, but I want to set it up to you so you know. So here's our graphic. Now, it has the black around it, which we obviously don't want. We just want the Broncos or the graphic logo there. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to manipulate that. So in CorelDRAW, you can zoom in and out like so with the mouse wheel. If you click the mouse wheel down, you can pan from side to side, up and down. You can move your graphic around. Okay, now we need to edit this graphic. So if we click on it, it brings up these, for one, it brings up these little nodes on the corner. And so we can stretch and make this bigger or smaller. You want to use the corners. If you use the sides, it will distort the graphic. Okay, obviously that doesn't look so great. Remember, you can always use Control Z to undo. Control Z is your friend. That will undo anything that you just maybe messed up on. And that's okay. Just hit Control Z and it should take you back to where you were. Okay. So we can always resize this, but I'm just going to kind of size it now to where it'll fit on our board. We could rotate this if we wanted to. We could rotate it 90 degrees. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Oh, that might be a little too big. All right, so I'm going to bring this back and just leave it like this. So now we need to edit this and get rid of the black outline. So I'm going to right click on the graphic and I'm going to go down to properties. So properties opens up this, it gives you a little tab over here. And this is going to be very important. We're going to live over in this area quite a bit, knowing what's going on with our graphic. And there's some other things we want to use. So I'm going to click this plus sign and I'm going to open up Object and I'm going to open up Palettes. So I want to choose those three things: Properties, Objects, and Palettes. Okay. So I want to go to Objects. That's the one you're going to use the most. And in Objects, you see all the different objects on your screen, okay, in your graphics area. So right now we have one, and that is the bitmap of our Broncos logo. Okay, so I am going to we're going to edit this graphic so that we can get rid of it, get rid of the black outline. So I'm going to click on it and highlight it, and I'm going to right click and go to Outline, Trace, Line Art. So what that's going to do is it's going to give us a preview. Now notice it gets rid of the outline, the black outline. That's exactly what we want. You can zoom in and out, but that looks pretty good. But notice it did not get rid of the original picture. So we're going to go ahead and just highlight that in our Objects Manager here and hit delete on our keyboard. Oh, that looks a lot better, right? Okay. So now you can see in Corel that we have a group of 10 objects. All of these are now individual vector. Okay, remember we used the word vector before. Vector areas. Okay. So this looks really good. So now what we can do is we can prepare this. So that's going to fit on our board very nicely, right? We can see that it's going to fit really well. Now this is where if you wanted to make it bigger, you could. Okay, obviously this would not fit on the board like that. It would have to go vertically. So if we wanted to see how it would fit vertically, we could rotate this 90 degrees. We can get a preview. Obviously the hole is going to be up here. So you could put that logo on like so, or you could leave it like this. Okay. Now, we want to print this, okay, and it's going to print very nicely, but we also need to add a cut line around it. Okay, we want to cut the outline of this graphic. So this is where we go to the Palettes tab over here. And we go into the Palettes library, and you want to always click the arrow. Okay, click the arrow beside Spot, and then the arrow beside Roland. And we want to turn on the Roland Versaworks. And that's going to open up this really small little palette. Okay, it's got 4 different little colors in there. Okay, but we need to use that pink one, the magenta one, because that's going to be our cut contour. That tells the machine, the printer, that it's going to print out the graphic, and then it's going to come through and it's going to cut along that pink outline, which we are going to create right now. So we have our group. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to click on it so that it's selected. And I'm going to go to Object, Shaping, and Boundary. Now notice that it put a curve around the outline of this, the boundary of it. Okay, that looks pretty good. However, we want it to be this pink magenta color. So I'm going to right click on that pink magenta color. So now if we zoom in, we can see that it's got that little magenta. That's where it's going to cut on the machine. Now, what happens if, for some reason, accidentally, you did a normal left click? Oh, it fills it in. Okay, we do not want that. Okay, so you can just hit Control Z, and then you want to right click on the pink. Okay. All right, so now we have our graphic. It looks good. We have our cut outline, our cut contour. We know the graphic is going to fit nicely on our board. Okay, the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to shrink down the size of our drawing area. So right now the graphic is, so if you highlight the graphic, it'll tell you how big it is. It's about 21.63 by 12.591. So all this white area out here, we don't want that. Okay, so we're going to shrink down the size of our, so I'm going to make this 21.5, which actually might be a little small. Yep, I need to go 21.7. Okay. And our height is going to be, I'm going to say 12.7. And now I can hit the letter P, and it will center, just the letter P on your keyboard will center everything in the middle there. Now notice I have my drawing area is just a little bit bigger than the graphic. And that's exactly what we want. So now we want to save this. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control S to save. Actually, I'm going to go Save As, because you want to look at where you're saving this. I'm going to just save it to the desktop. I'm going to call it Board 1. Now what I would like you to do is make sure that you put your name, your last name. Okay, your last name and then Board 1. Okay, or Board 2. But you need to have your name associated with the file. So your last name and then Board 1, Board 2, whatever it might be. But your last name should be involved in this. I'm going to hit Save. Okay. And then, okay, so there's a software called Versaworks. Now you're not going to use Versaworks, but Versaworks is where we take the file and actually send it to the printer. It's called a RIP software. So in order to do that, we need to save this as a PDF file. So it's very easy to save this as a PDF. There's a little button up here at the top called Publish to PDF. Again, I'm going to put this on my desktop. Okay, it's going to be called the same thing, Clinton Board 1, or your last name Board 1. I'm going to hit Save. And now that PDF file is what you will use and send to me via, probably through a flash drive or through email. A Schoology, no, we don't have a Schoology class for this, so it'll probably be an email. I will need your Corel file and your PDF, and we can get these printed.